Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan for everyone joining, taking your time out on a Friday evening to join. Inshallah, we'll begin with some questions from the previous lesson before we move on to our new lesson. So just brothers could unmute, if you could mute yourself when you, there's no background noise. So inshallah, we'll begin with some questions, inshallah. So so the first question, inshallah, from last lesson is mention 2 reasons. Could some brothers mention 2 reasons? You can write on the chat option, or you could answer verbally if you want. Mention 2 reasons why Arabs would send the children to the desert. So why would Arabs send the children to the desert? Or the reasons you could mention on the chat option, inshallah. Or yes.
To learn the proper way of Arabic, and so they don't catch diseases from people that do Hajj and Umrah.
MashaAllah, very, very good. MashaAllah, very good. Also, another brother wrote for good health and learning pure Arabic. MashaAllah, pure Arabic, good health, proper Arabic. MashaAllah, very good, very good. So there were about 4 or 5 reasons I gave. Another one was it gives the mother like a break. Another one was the heat as well. The heat played a big role in the child growing up. The environment, it plays a big role. Someone wrote less disease, mashallah, very good. Okay, question 2. What was the name of the tribe and the woman who took our Prophet into her care? What was the name of the tribe, first of all, and what was the name of our Prophet's milk mother?
Bin Sa'ad and Halima.
Mashallah, mashallah. It was Banu Sa'ad, like the brother said, Banu Sa'ad, and her name was Halima, mashallah. Halima, she came from Banu Sa'ad. Very good, mashallah. If you could mention some miracles she experienced on her way, and once she took the Prophet back into her care, if you could mention some of the miracles she experienced, anyone?
Her donkey was faster and produces more food.
Mashallah, her donkey was faster. She was producing milk and food. MashaAllah. Yeah, some brothers are writing donkey was faster. MashaAllah, faster donkey, more food, very good. Also, where her animals were grazing, it was just her animals that were returning healthy, and no one else's animal was coming back the same size. So there were more barakah in animal growth, mashallah, very good. Brother wrote more barakah in animal growth, mashallah. Question 4, what is 𝗃 الصدر? What is 𝗃 الصدر?
Is it the opening of the heart of our Prophet?
Opening of the chest, so his heart could be washed in Zamzam water. Good. Those who are joining, could you just please mute yourself, unless obviously you have to answer a question, okay? So yes, like the brother answered, the opening of the chest to wash his heart. Question 5, how old was our Prophet ﷺ when his beloved mother Amina and his beloved grandfather passed away?
6.
Yes, 6. 6 was when his mother passed away. Yes, and his grandfather at the age of, how old was the Prophet ﷺ? 8, mashallah, brother Amin, 8, mashallah. Tambir, Abid, mashallah, very good, mashallah. And we're not gonna write about the incident of Bahira, okay? It's a long incident. We're just gonna move on with our lesson. So, alhamdulillah, last lesson we covered the Prophet's birth till about the age of say about 10, 11, yeah. So now we're gonna talk about, inshallah, his teen years, his teenage life, his teen years. If you have any questions after the slide, please do ask. Okay, so whilst we're doing the slide, I won't be able to check the chat option, so ask, inshallah, when we finish the slide, inshallah. You can take notes, inshallah, it will be beneficial. This slide has lots of important points. So his teenage life, okay, up until about 20, what was he doing? There's not much written. So can anyone answer, why isn't there much written in his life in Makkah? Why do you think there wasn't much written about his biography and his life in Makkah? Anyone? because there's more written about him when he migrated to Medina. His last 10 years, from 53 to 63, there's more written about that. And also there's not much written about his life between in Makkah, and especially his teen years. Anyone want to have a go? Why they think?
There was no hadith about it.
Yes, mashallah. Firstly, because the people in Makkah, yes, they were illiterate. They couldn't read or write. So they couldn't note anything down what was happening to him, okay? Secondly, because no one knew that he was going to grow up to become a prophet. If he's 15 years old, 10 years old, who would know that he's going to become a prophet? You understand? Everyone knew he was special, but no one knew he was going to become a prophet. So they didn't document nothing about him. You understand? Like even ourselves, we don't remember much what happened to us when we were young. Not much is remembered. So hence, not much is remembered about him in his teen years. But whatever's recorded, inshallah, I've put that into the slide. We'll go over that now, inshallah. So he started to work as a shepherd. Okay, so all prophets were given this job as it's a form of training, and it teaches responsibility. So all prophets that Allah sent, all the prophets Allah sent, 124,000 prophets, they were all given this duty, this job. Okay, they were a shepherd. Now the reason why they were all given this common job was being a shepherd, it teaches you a lot of things. There are many wisdoms, there are many reasons why, okay, Allah made these prophets a shepherd. Reason number one, because a shepherd, a farmer, they get lots of solitude time. They get a lot of time alone where they're by themselves and they can contemplate about life. Because a shepherd, if he's walking in the, say, forest or something, he's just got his herd of, say, 20, 30 sheep, yeah? There's no one he can communicate with, yeah? It's just him by himself with his herd, and it gives him some time to think about life, think about the creator, think about the creation, just get more attached and closer to his religion and his creator, okay? Because there's no distraction, okay? You're going to be walking, yes, in the nature, nice greenery, and you can think about your creation. And also, another thing is seeing the creation and the nature of the Almighty, yes, this will keep you close to your religion. Like you would never find a farmer or a shepherd who's an atheist, okay? Because they see the plant grow, they see the seed become a plant to a tree, they see how the animals grow and how they breed and everything. So that shows most, okay, and most farmers, yes, most farmers and shepherds are actually really intellectual people. Okay, another reason why they were given this job to be a shepherd is sheep are like human beings. Okay, the way they are like human beings, because we think, okay, all sheep are the same, yeah, they just follow each other. No, each sheep has its own different personality. Okay, there's some sheep that are stubborn, there's some that are naughty, there's some that are lazy, there's some that don't listen properly, there's some that just follow others. Okay, so what it does is the shepherd, it teaches him that you have to cater for each and every unique sheep. Okay, you can't treat them the same. Yeah, likewise, if you're a teacher or if you're a parent, you can't treat all the children the same, because they're all going to have different needs. Yeah, so this is a lesson for the prophets, that everyone in the community, yeah, will be like sheep. You have to treat each person differently. Okay, so this teaches the shepherd. It gives them early training. So when they come to the community, there will be some people who understand easily, there's some people who don't understand, some people who will get easily influenced by others. So he just teaches them patience and to cater for, to judge everyone differently, to obviously preach to everyone differently. It also makes you fearless as a shepherd. It makes you fearless because you have to protect your herd from predators and stuff like that. And one of the most important ones is that it's probably the lowest paid and difficult job one can have, and it teaches one to be humble and to have some humility. Okay, now this is a very important lesson, because this shows that the Prophet actually started from the very bottom. Yeah, he didn't. If he wanted to, if Allah wanted to, Allah could have given him Allah could have showered him down all the wealth and money. Allah wanted to basically start him from scratch, so he becomes a much more relatable role model. Now we have people in back home countries, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, who are shepherds, okay? Now they can relate to the Prophet. Like, no matter how hard work gets, yes, whichever job you have, no matter how hard work gets, once our role model, our Prophet, he was a shepherd once, he was a farmer once, do you understand? So he becomes more relatable, and it shows that where he started from and what he became. Okay, so we don't look at the start, we just look at the end. Okay, normally when we see a successful person, okay, a billionaire or millionaire, we think that overnight they became successful. No, no one sees the struggles they went through. Likewise, the Prophet, he went through so much struggles to become the man he is today, the best human being to ever walk on this earth. Also, the Prophet said a hadith about responsibility. Okay, we were talking about responsibility. The Prophet said, beware, every one of you is a shepherd, and every one of you is responsible for his flock. Yes. So each one of us, we're a shepherd. Okay. We don't look after sheep, but we're a shepherd in a different way. So, for example, as we're growing up, our responsibility is different. Okay. When we're young, okay, our responsibilities are younger siblings, okay, our younger nephew, niece, our friend. As we go older and we become a father or mother, our responsibility becomes our children, making sure that they're on the right path, they're paying the salah. Okay, they're not getting influenced by shaitan. This is our responsibility. If you are putting a blind eye on your family, they're not praying properly, or they're indulged in haram, or they're doing something wrong, or your friends, and you just think, you know what, leave is fine, then you will be questioned as well, because it is everyone's responsibility. Okay, if you know the person, yes, then speak to them. Okay, if you've spoken to them and they're not listening, then minimum do some dua for them, inshallah, that, oh Allah, help this person. Okay, we shouldn't just think, you know what, I've tried once, I've given up, that's it. That's not enough. Okay, we should try our best. Each and every one of us is a shepherd, and we have to look after our flock. It comes in the Quran, Allah said that we have to save our family from the hellfire. Okay, it's our responsibility. Okay, your children, and then later on, if you looked after your children and you've got everyone on the straight path, then the next comes your community. Now it's very important why we have been compared to a likened to a shepherd, because now a shepherd, imagine a shepherd walking and he has about, say, 40 sheep behind him. If one sheep goes astray, yeah, and he leaves the pack, one sheep leaves the herd and goes astray, will the shepherd say, oh, it's fine, I've got 39, it doesn't matter if the wolf eats one? No, he won't. He'll stop the herd maybe and bring that lone sheep back in line. Likewise, okay, likewise the same thing. Why? Because if he leaves that sheep to be alone, it will be an easy target, an easy prey for the wolf or the tiger or the predator. Likewise, if you don't keep your family together on the right path, and one person going astray, and you think like it's fine, it'll be easy for shaitan to gobble that person up. Like it's easy for a wolf to gobble the sheep up, it's easy for shaitan to gobble the person up. That's why it's always been advised that we should try to be part of a community. Okay, when you grow up, okay, for those who are in the teen, when you grow up, try to go to weekly talks, monthly talks. Try to be part of the brothers in the masjid. Okay, because inshallah, if you have any problems, you can talk to the imam. If you're by yourself, yes, it's easy for shaitan. You become an easy target for shaitan. And if you're praying at home alone, yeah, and if you're praying in the masjid, it's easy for shaitan to attack you and put evil thoughts in your head when you're praying alone. If you're praying in a congregation, it's harder for shaitan. Okay, because there's lots of Muslims now. Okay, it's a big army of Muslims. There's lots of people in the masjid. It's hard for shaitan to attack a full army, a group. But if you're praying alone, yes, it's easy for shaitan. You become an easy prey for shaitan. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us from the influence of shaitan, and may Allah grant us Jannah. Ameen. So this is why all prophets were given this training. So if they can look after sheep, yes, or a herd or anything or animals, then inshallah they can look after the community. Moving on, then the next thing that happened was something called Harb al-Fijar, the battles of the evil. Now, we know the Prophet ﷺ was from the tribe of Quraysh. Yeah, we know the Prophet ﷺ was from the tribe of the Quraysh. Okay, we know Prophet ﷺ was from the tribe of the Quraysh. Yes, Quraysh was a sub-tribe of a big tribe called Kinana. So Quraysh was a sub-tribe of a big tribe called Kinana. Now, this is very important. These were the first battles the Prophet ﷺ, he attended. He didn't physically fight in these battles. Why? Because they weren't for the sake of Allah. These battles weren't for the sake of Allah. So he didn't physically fight in these battles. Okay, he just helped out his uncles by looking for arrows and giving the arrows to his uncles. He didn't physically fight in these battles. Okay. Okay, now what happened was there were two main tribes. Yeah, the first main tribe was called Kinana. They have sub-tribes like Quraysh. There's another tribe called 𝗃𝗿𝗄𝗃, and they have sub-tribes called like Ghatfan and Hawazin. Now what happened was a person from the Kinana went and killed a person from Hawazin. Yeah, and that got the 𝗃𝗿𝗄𝗃 really angry. Yeah, so they came and they attacked Kinana. Okay, they attacked Quraysh, Kinana, they attacked everyone, and they also attacked them inside the Haram. You know where Allah's house is? They also attack them inside that area. Now that area normally is, if you enter the area, you're safe. As it comes in the Quran, وَمَنْ دَخَلَهُ كَانَ آمِنًا. The person who's entered this area is meant to be safe from all harm. You can't attack that person. But because Kinana were really angry, because Hawazin, the 𝗃𝗿𝗄𝗃 were really angry, they attacked and they killed some people from the Quraysh inside the Haram, and that got the Quraysh really angry. Okay, that got them really angry that they killed. Okay, they killed some of our own in a very blessed area. Okay, so the Quraysh went for outright war, and there were many battles that took place. In the battles, the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't fight physically because it was not for the sake of Allah. So what he did was he was getting the arrows, okay, and he was giving it to his uncles. He went around the mountains picking up arrows that were used, you can use them again, and he was giving it to his uncles, okay. And later on, the battles did come to an end, okay, and they had an agreement, like a treaty, and it came to an end. So this was the first time the Prophet had some sort of military training at a very young age. He was younger than 15 because he wasn't allowed to carry a sword or anything. Okay, and the last point of his teenage life is that he had a lot of hatred for idols. Even though his family wanted to take him to festivals and parties and stuff like that, Allah protected him by either putting him to sleep or Allah would do something that he won't attend. And one day his family, his relatives kind of forced him to go to a festival. Okay, once he got there, he ran away, and his relatives came and asked him, why did you run away? And he said that when I got there, even though he didn't want to go there, before he even got there, he saw a very long white man who said, go away, Muhammad, like leave from here. And that, some say that was the angel. So he was protected from sin and fall into anything. Even though his relatives tried to get him to these festivals. Okay, we've finished the slide of his teenage life. Is there any questions anyone would like to ask before we move on to the next slide? It's okay to move on, inshallah? That's fine, inshallah. We're gonna move on. Okay. Now, when he became the age of around, say, 20 years old, what happened was there was a man from Yemen. A man from Yemen came. He came to Makkah to do some business, some trading, buying and selling goods. A leader from the Makkah, a chief from Makkah, by the name of 𝗃cie bin Wa'il, he agreed to buy all the goods. And 𝗃cie bin Wa'il said to the Yemeni man that I'll buy all the goods from you, okay, but I'll pay you later. So the Yemeni man was really happy. He thought, you know what, it's going to take me a few weeks or probably months to sell these things. And the person, a very rich person, a ruler who wants to buy all in one go, let me just give it to him. So 𝗃cie bin Wa'il, yes, he was a very evil man. He wasn't paying him back. Day after day, the man went to his house and he goes, I'll pay you tomorrow, I'll pay you tomorrow. And every single day he kept saying, I'll pay you tomorrow, until he said, I'm not going to pay you, and you can't do nothing about it. Now this man, Yemeni man, who's a poor man, he went to many other leaders of Makkah, and no one was helping him because they knew that 𝗃cie bin Wa'il was a very powerful man, until he was found by the uncle of our Prophet ﷺ, Zubair. Okay, Zubair, our Prophet ﷺ's uncle. Okay, he was the brother of Abdullah, the son of Abdul Muttalib. He went to the leaders of the tribes and he said, you know what, we need to make this agreement. We need to make something that the people that come from the neighboring countries, or people who are weak, or people who are oppressed or less fortunate, if anything happens to them, we need to make something that will protect them, that will give them their rights. Or everyone's just going to eat them up and just take the money and basically unrightfully just take the rights. You understand? So they made this agreement. They made this agreement in the house of a very generous and a very famous man called Abdullah bin Jud'an. Okay, so what happened was this agreement was called Hilf Al Fudool. Okay, Hilf Al Fudool, some call it Hilf Al because nowadays we have a document which we sign off, but in that days there wasn't a document. So what all the people, all the leaders that agreed to this, they dipped a finger into some fragrance, and that was their basically that was their go ahead, that okay, we've all agreed to that. No matter what, even if it's our own brother who's oppressed someone else, we will make sure that he gives the person's right back. Okay, so they made this treaty called Hilf Al Fudool, and the Prophet loved this. He was president at that time, even though he was 20. When he became a prophet, he also said that if I was asked to honor this treaty, even now I would do it. In some narrations, he says that I love this treaty. To me, is more beloved than red camels. Red camels were a very rare animal to have. We could say like a Lamborghini nowadays or something like that. So it was a very rare animal to have, and he said it's more dear to me and more beloved to me. Hilf Al Fudool, because it gives the right of the oppressed and the weak and the less fortunate. And this Yemeni man's money and his goods were returned back to him. Okay, and it was amazing how all the leaders got together, even though they didn't like each other's tribes, but they got together. They got together for this one purpose, that we have to give the poor their right. Okay, we can't take their right away from them just because they might be weak. We can't do that. So they all agreed, even if it was their own beloved or their own brother who did this mistake, they will make sure that this person has to pay the price. I think someone's mic is left unmuted. If you could just mute it, please. Okay, so that's the Hilf Al Fudool. Remember, this is a very important part of the Seerah. Now, moving on. Now the Prophet is about, say, 20 plus. He's over 20. He started to work. He wanted to be more independent, and he wanted to start helping out. Abu Talib was very weak. He was living with his uncle Abu Talib. He was very weak and very poor as well. He wanted to help his uncle out. So he started to look for work. He would take people's herd. He would raise the herd, and in return, he would get some money back. Now, it happened to be that Khadija, radiallahu anha's elder sister, she had like a big herd, a very big herd. And she wanted someone to look after her herd. So she appointed Prophet Muhammad and another man. And they went and they looked after her herd. She had a very big herd. And they came back after the appointed time. And the Prophet was very shy to ask for the wage. So he sent the other man that he was working with. He said, you go and you get the wage for me. Okay, well, I feel very shy. So the other man went, and he went to Khadija's elder sister, said, yeah, we've done it now, me and Muhammad. But Muhammad is asked that if you could give the wage to me and I will give it to him. And Khadija's elder sister, she really liked how the person was, how he conducted with people, how he conducted with women, how he never took advantage of anything. And the Prophet, he became very famous in Mecca because of that. Okay, he was honest, trustworthy, loyal, friendly, caring, and he did not want to cheat people. Okay, he was given the title As-Sadiq and Al-Amin, the trustworthy, the honest, okay, the truthful one. He never lied. He was honest at all times. And it happened to be when the man came to take the wages for himself and Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Khadija was present in her sister's house. Okay, she happened to be present, and she was going through a tough time in her business. We'll talk about that in the next slide, inshallah. So she needed someone trustworthy. She needed someone who was reliable, someone trustworthy. She wanted to hire someone who was trustworthy. She was doing a different business. So it happened to be that she heard about Muhammad and she thought, you know what? Okay, it's a good idea. I'll hire him. Okay. So who was Khadija and how was she so successful? Khadija was a very good businesswoman. Okay. how did she become very rich? Because she was married twice. Okay, before she married the Prophet, she was married twice. Her first husband passed away. He wasn't really rich. The second husband, he was a merchant. He had lots of money. Now, what happened is when someone passes away in Islam, when someone passes away, their wealth, yes, the deceased's wealth, yeah, it gets distributed to the siblings, to the children, to the spouse, to the parents, and so on, yeah. Now, Khadija's second husband, he passed away as a very rich merchant, but he never had no siblings, no children, no one. Okay, so the only person that could inherit from him was his wife. She never inherited the full amount. Obviously, she inherited a sum, probably a quarter of his wealth. Is a quarter if you have a wife and no children, and the rest was given to other things. So that was enough to make her rich. Now, what she did was she reinvested this money, and she got more rich. She got more rich like that, and she became a very, very successful businesswoman. Now, she used to hire people. Now, because she's a woman, yeah, people would take advantage. She used to hire people and she would tell them, do this for me, or take this, take all these goods for me to Syria or Yemen or wherever, and you can sell it for me and you can bring it back, inshallah. Once you bring the money back, I'll give you a percentage. Okay, that's what they would do. Okay, for example, she had, say, she was selling lots of, say, clothes or whatever. She would say to the person she's employed that once you sell it, the profit, I'll take 70% or 60% or whatever, and you keep the remaining 30%. Okay, because it's my goods and you done the it was your labor work, okay, your physical labor. That's why you get this. Now, what people would do is they would bring back less profit back to her. They would cheat her because they knew that she's a woman, she can't do nothing. Okay, they took advantage of her gender, and she knew that. But what could she do? She was looking for someone very honest and truthful. Even though the Prophet Muhammad had no experience in trading goods, he only had experience to be a shepherd, not in trading goods. But she didn't care about his experience. She knew that he was trustworthy and honest. So she said that, Muhammad, let me give you an offer. She gave him an offer that if you go with my goods and you go sell it off, I'll give you this much percentage. I'll give you this much. So he consulted with his uncle Abu Talib before he went. Abu Talib gave the go ahead and said, yeah, go for it, inshallah. So what Khadija done was Khadija sent her male slave, okay, her male slave called 𝗰صرة. Okay, a lot of people, they mistake 𝗰صرة as a woman. It wasn't a woman, it was a man. Okay, Khadija sent her male servant 𝗰صرة to accompany the Prophet in the journey and in the trade. Now 𝗰صرة came back very, very impressed. He was impressed a lot by the Prophet's conduct, how he would speak to people, his dealings, how he would sell items, how he was honest at all times. Okay, he didn't cheat anyone. Okay, he didn't scam anyone. He didn't do nothing. He was always honest in his dealings. And 𝗰صرة saw other things as well, how a cloud was giving him shade in the sun. Okay, how the trees were giving salam to him, assalamu alaikum, how the stones were giving salam to him. And 𝗰صرة knew that this man is not a normal man. Okay, this man definitely is a normal man. This man is a special creation. And when he came back, when Prophet Muhammad came back with 𝗰صرة, he returned back with many, many folds of Prophet. Some say double the Prophet. Okay, so imagine she was meant to get £1,000. He somehow made it £2,000. Some say it was triple or quadruple. He made lots and lots of money. Why? Allah put barakah in it. It was out of his honesty and his trustworthiness, his honesty, his truthfulness and everything. He made lots and lots of money for Khadija. Now, what did that do when 𝗰صرة came and told Khadija? This automatically brought this love and affection into Khadija's heart. Okay, she was longing for someone. Okay, she never had a partner, someone who can help her, a male partner, someone who could help her, and she was widowed twice. Okay, she had children from her previous marriage and stuff like that, so she needed help as well. So she was really happy because a lot of people in Mecca wanted to get married to Khadija, but she refused. But she was happy to send a proposal for our Prophet ﷺ, which we'll be doing in our next slide, inshallah. Up until now, has anyone got any questions? Anything that I haven't understood, inshallah, I can repeat it, or any questions or anything if you have. Brothers have been really quiet today. Normally, we have some questions. Can everyone hear me clearly? Yeah?
Yep, can hear you.
Everyone can hear you? Alhamdulillah. Okay, fine. No questions, yeah? We're okay to move on. That's fine, inshallah. We're okay to move on, inshallah. So the next slide is about, obviously he worked for Khadija. Now Khadija sending a proposal to him. Someone, I think, send a message. Is Barakah blessing? Yes, Barakah is blessing. Let me just get the charger. Okay, so after the business, the trip, now Khadija radiallahu anha has automatically gotten this, it was a happiness feeling, and she was ready to kind of send a proposal to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now in this slide there are some things you will learn, okay, for the first time maybe, okay, but there are differences in opinion. So inshallah, let me finish the slide, inshallah, and then you can ask some questions. So previously many people had proposed to Khadija, but she declined. However, she was interested in marrying Prophet Muhammad. She indirectly sent a message through her friend slave Nafisa to him. Now, this was no sort of like dating or anything like that. They never spoke about anything. They weren't chatting or anything like that. It was just that she, even though he was poor, yes, and she was very wealthy, okay, he even thought that, why is Khadija sending me a proposal? She's way out of my league, okay? I'm a poor orphan and she's such a rich woman. She was very famous in Makkah already, okay? People named her as 𝗺ص, the pure one, okay? She was very, very, very famous, okay? He sent one of her friends, some say slave, who was an elderly woman called Nafisa. She sent Nafisa to go to Prophet Muhammad, and Nafisa spoke to Prophet Muhammad. Nafisa was an elderly lady, so it was like an elderly sister for the Prophet. She said, "Oh Muhammad, are you not looking to get married?" And Prophet Muhammad was like, who would marry me? I'm still, I'm an orphan, I'm poor and everything. And then Nafisa said, what if Khadija radiallahu anha wanted to marry you? And the Prophet said, Khadija, me, okay, I'm a poor orphan. How would she want to marry me? She's very rich and stuff like that. And then he went back and forth until they agreed. Okay, the Prophet was happy. He spoke to his uncles Abu Talib, Hamza, and everything. Everyone was happy. Khadija's guardian, her father wasn't alive, so her uncle Amr bin Asad, he was happy with it, and they went ahead with it. Okay, they went ahead with it. The Prophet he was getting married to Khadija radiallahu anha. Now regarding the dowry, there's a bit of difference of opinion. Some say there was, the Prophet gave about 12 gold and silver nuggets, okay, worth a few £100 today. Some say he gave 20 camels or 20 sheep. Nonetheless, they got married. Okay, now an important point to listen now. Okay, now, we all heard when we were young, I grew up learning as well. The Prophet was 25. Okay, there are some difference in opinion. Some say he was 23, 24, but majority say he was 25. Now, regarding Khadija's age, okay, we did learn she was 40, and some do say she's 40, but majority of the commentators of Seerah say she wasn't 40, she was actually 28. Okay, now obviously there's difference in opinion. Okay, regardless of the differences, she was elder than the Prophet. Now I'll tell you why some say she was younger than 40. Because in some of the books it says that when she passed away, she was about 50. Yeah, if she was 40 and she got married to the Prophet at the age of 40 and she passed away whilst living with him for 25 years, she would have been 65 when she passed away, right? But if she was 28, then yeah, it does make sense. She would have been 53. And some say, because if she was 40, how did she bear 6 of his children? And how was she having children at the very in her late 50s? But it doesn't matter. We don't have to go into too much detail. Okay, some say 40, some say 28. Okay, she was elder than the Prophet. That's how much we need to know. Okay. Now, the Prophet's mother wasn't alive, right? So he told his milk mother, his foster mother, Halima Sa'diyah, to be present in the wedding ceremony. Okay, he told her to attend. Okay, now regarding Khadija, okay, Khadija radiallahu anhu was his best wife. Okay, whilst he was married to Khadija, he never got married to anyone else. Only after Khadija passed away, he got married to his other wives. Khadija radiallahu anha was the only wife he had children with. His other wife, he didn't have any children with the other wife. Khadija radiallahu anha was the only wife he had children with. He was married to her for about 25 years. And the year she passed away, okay, inshallah, we're going to be doing that, inshallah, in our path, module 3 of Seerah. The year she passed away, he named this year was the Amul Huzn, the year of sorrow, the year of grief, because his beloved wife passed away and his uncle passed away, Abu Talib. So she was the one that gave him comfort in the house, and he kind of needed that. Okay, like they say, behind every successful man, yes, is a woman. Okay, he needed that support. He would be out there all day giving da'wah, preaching, so he needed some financial support. He needed some financial support. So some scholars say that Allah gave him this wife. Okay, so his financial side could be secure, and he could obviously he could do his preaching, his day-to-day preaching and teaching without thinking about his income coming in and stuff like that. Okay, she was the most beloved wife, because even after she passed away, the Prophet would still send food to her, to her cousins, to her relatives. Okay, like once Khadija's sister came, okay, and the Prophet recognized the footsteps of the sister, and he was moved. Okay, and Aisha radiallahu anha said that if I was jealous of any other wife of the Prophet, it would be Khadija. Okay, and she had names of 𝗃𝗶𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃, okay, the great Khadija, and she was the only wife that the angels came into her house, and they said assalamu alaikum to her, peace be upon you to her. She has a palace in Jannah and everything. She was one of the very few Muslims that were guaranteed Jannah, yes, on this earth. Okay, one of the very few Muslims that were guaranteed Jannah on this earth was Khadija radiallahu anha. And there's many other things about Khadija that inshallah you could in your own time learn, inshallah, about Khadija radiallahu anha, an amazing woman. Okay, she gave so much support to the Prophet, support that he needed. Okay, in his hard times, okay, she was there. Okay, at all times she was there. And she was the first one to accept Islam. Okay, the first one to accept Islam, and when he came back to the message, when he became a prophet, he was the first one to accept it, and she was the one who gave him the comfort. Inshallah, we'll learn more about her in the next module. Inshallah, I'll probably just catch up a bit on her. We're moving on to our last slide for the day. Inshallah, did you have a question? Someone raise their hand. No. Okay, to move on. Okay. Now, the last slide of our day today, inshallah, is the children of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, he had 6 children with Khadija radiallahu anha. 6 children, yeah. The Prophet was known as Abul Qasim. He was known as Abul Qasim, the father of Qasim. Why? Because his first son was Al Qasim. Qasim, yeah. He never had any children with his other wives. Okay, you might hear the names Tayyib and Tahir. They're the names of his last son, Abdullah. Okay, why didn't Allah want his sons to live for a long while? Because Allah wanted to end, and Prophet was the seal of prophethood. Okay, now even if Allah didn't make his sons to a prophet, we know what's going on with his grandchildren and what's going on with Ali. How many the Muslims have become to many different sects. What the Shias are doing, how this how much praise they're giving Ali and stuff like that. So if he did have children that lived on, people would have made him into a prophet. Okay, if Allah never made him into a prophet, people would have said, oh, he's a prophet and stuff like that. What's going on? So that's why Allah left his son. They departed this world at a very young age. Now we're going to quickly talk about his children, inshallah, before we finish the class, inshallah. First one, Al Qasim. Qasim, he had his son Qasim. Okay, Qasim passed away at no fixed age was given. So he passed away when he could ride an animal. So some say between the age of 6 to 8 or 8 to 10. When he became the age of riding, when he could ride an animal, that's when he passed away. Okay, and the Prophet is known as Abul Qasim, the father of Qasim. That became his title for a bit. After Qasim, he had a daughter called Zainab. Yes, and then he had Ruqayya, and then he had Kulthum, and then he had Fatima. Now, Zainab, Ruqayya, and Kulthum, they all passed away as young women. Yeah, they passed away before the Prophet ﷺ. So Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, they passed away before the demise of our beloved Prophet ﷺ. The only child, yes, the only daughter and the only child to outlive the Prophet ﷺ was Fatima. Yeah, we're going to speak about her in a bit. She got married to Ali radiallahu anhu. And the last child with Khadija was Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah passed away at a very young age. Okay, and Abdullah's other names were Tayyib and Tahir. Okay, the good one, the clean one. Okay, now try your best, brothers, to learn the names of his children. So remember, it's a boy first, then it's 4 daughters, then it's another boy. Qasim, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, Fatima, and Abdullah. He did have another son. Okay, that wasn't with Khadija, it was with Maria 𝗃𝗵𝘂. Okay, his slave Maria 𝗃𝗵𝘂. The son's name was Ibrahim. Okay, and he did have an adopted son called Zayd bin Harith. We're going to learn about Zayd bin Haritha in the next slide, in our next lesson, inshallah. So quickly, we're going to talk about what happened. So Fatima was the only one who outlived the Prophet ﷺ. They say when when the Prophet was passing away, Fatima came to him and he started to get very sad. And he said something to Fatima, which made Fatima very sad. Then Fatima walked away. And then he called Fatima again and he said something to her and it made Fatima smile. Okay? Everyone was confused. The people that were around Fatima, they were confused. So Aisha radiallahu anha, the wife of the beloved Prophet ﷺ, she said, I spoke to Fatima and I asked her, Fatima, why were you sad in the first time, and why did you smile the second time? Fatima said, the first time the Prophet ﷺ called me and he said something to me, he said that he was leaving this world. So that made me sad, that made me teary. I got sad that my father is leaving this earth. And then I walked on and he called me back again. And he said, Fatima, from my relatives, from my family, you are the first one that's going to come to meet me in Jannah. So what do you think that was giving an indication? Okay, what kind of indication do you think that is given that Fatima would be the first relative of the Prophet to pass away after his demise? And it did happen after a few months after the Prophet passed away. Some say 5-6 months. Fatima, she passed away and she met her father Prophet in Jannah. Okay, so these were the children of Prophet. Try to learn the names, inshallah. Fatima was married to Ali, okay, the 4th Caliph, and she had Hassan and Hussein, the grandsons of the Prophet who he loved so much. Okay, he did cry a lot when his sons passed away and his children passed away. This was like a test given to him. Okay, before I answer your question, inshallah, someone asked a question. Imagine the Prophet, okay, he became a orphan at the age of, when he was born, he never had a father. Yeah, he lost his mother at 6. He lost his grandfather at 8. Look how many times he's becoming an orphan. Look how much pain he's going through. Yeah, he grows up. He had to bury each and every child of his besides Fatima. Yeah, his wife and uncle passed away in the same year when he was about 49, 50 years old. The Amul Huzn. Look how much hardship the person went through. Okay, he did not complain. Okay, after that happened, he went to Ta'if. Yeah, which we'll do in our next module, and he was pelted in Ta'if from head to toe. He was pelted. He went through so much hardship just to bring this religion for us. Okay, and what can he teach us is, when we learn about the Prophet, yes, this should teach us patience, the patience he went through. We're all going to go through hardship. Everyone's going to go through hardship. But when you go through hardship, don't despair and don't lose hope in Allah. Okay, the Prophet teaches us that never to lose hope in Allah. Allah's system and Allah's plan is amazing. Okay, Allah has planned for you to go through this hardship. Okay, Allah says in the Quran, فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, that verily after hardship, ease will come. Okay. Yes, you might just see the hardship, and like they say, after every tunnel there's light. Okay, so the hardship that you go through is nothing. Don't despair, don't lose hope, don't ask Allah, why me, why always me? Okay, what did I do? I've been worshipping you all my life. No, because you do not know what the prophets went through. Every single prophet went through so much hardship. You can start from the very beginning till the last prophet. Every single prophet went through hardship. and name a few to you. Look at Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, okay? 950 years, yes, he preached to his people, no one believed in him. His wife, his son, no one believed in him. Look at Prophet Ayub. He was one of the richest prophets. He had everything. He had children, he had wealth, he had everything. Slowly, Allah took his children away from him. They all passed away. He lost his wealth. He became poor. He had such a bad skin disease that no one could come next to him. He was left like that for a very long time. Look at Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. Okay, he was thrown into the well. His brothers hated him. He was thrown into the well, and he was sold in the market. Okay, how do you think he felt? He felt worthless. He felt like he was nothing. He was sold for a few coins, darahima ma'duda, sold for a very few, very less amount. But why Allah put these prophets through trials and tribulations to take the best out of them? Okay, to make this is why they became these legends they are today. Okay, so everyone will go through hardship. Okay, no one's life is perfect. Okay, we only see the end of people's life and we think this person is so successful. You haven't seen the struggles they've gone through. No one becomes a millionaire overnight. No one becomes successful. No influencer becomes famous overnight. They go through lots of struggles. They go through failure until they come to success. Okay, so don't look at that person's end to think that, oh, mashallah, this person, look how successful he is. You have to go through struggles, okay? And Allah will never ever burden you with too much hardship. Okay, it comes in the Quran, okay? لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah won't burden someone with too much hardship that you can't bear. Okay. Likewise, Allah says, يريد الله بكم اليسر ولا يريد بكم العسر. Allah doesn't intend for hardship for a person. Okay, He intends for good for a person. Okay, so a very amazing example to take for the person. Look, let me give you one quick story. Comes to mind that the Prophet once he was starving. Okay, 2-3 days have gone by. He's pressing his stomach on his bed. He's pressing his stomach on his bed, and his wife Aisha said, "Oh Prophet of Allah, oh Rasulullah, why do you go through this? Okay, you can eat if you want. If you want food, you can eat. Okay, if you want food, you can just ask Allah. Allah will give you food. Allah will give you mountains of gold. Why do you go through this hardship for?" And he said, "Oh Aisha, the reason why is the people that come after me, I want to be like relatable to them. Okay, if I was eating lavishly, if I was relaxing lavishly and stuff like that, people will look back and think, you know what, our Prophet, our role model, no day went past where he couldn't eat. So now if I don't eat and I starve, okay, people can look back and say, you know what, today I never got no food. These poor people and these less fortunate people in poor and poor countries, they could say our role model, the Prophet, he went through the same as well. You understand? So the course we're doing about the Prophet is just a brief course. Okay, there's so much in detail you can go. Okay, so this will just give you like a brief, like a bite size of his life. Okay, we can't cover obviously a man's life, 63 years of a man's life in 16 hours. This course is only 16 hours. Alhamdulillah, we completed 6 hours, alhamdulillah. Okay, but this will give you a good understanding of his life. But in your own time, pick up some books, pick up some Seerah English books. There's PDFs, there's videos on YouTube, and learn. And the more you learn about him, the more your love for him will grow. Okay, and the more you love him, inshallah, on the day of judgment, inshallah, he will intercede for me and you. He will give you water from that fountain of Kawthar, inshallah. Okay, it's our responsibility and it's a fard upon us to love him. We have to love him, or our iman won't be complete. Okay, the only way you can love someone more is if you learn about them. Okay, the more you learn about them, the more you will love him. And it's amazing. Like every time I learn something new about him, it just brings you more close to me. Think that, you know what, my Prophet, he went through this. Amazing, just to make our life easier. How much he would cry every single night, saying to Allah, Ummati, Ummati, my nation, my nation. Oh Allah, make it easy for my people. Hence why Allah has made it so easy for us. Okay, he would cry day in and day. There's so many things he wouldn't do because he was scared. If I do this too much, it would become compulsory upon my people. He wouldn't use miswak all the time. Why? He said, I'm scared if I do it all the time, it's going to become a burden upon my people. They're going to have to do it for every single salah. He missed so many things out. Okay, he made so much dua to Allah. He went back and forth to Allah for the prayers to make life easy for us. Okay, so everyone try your best to learn much more about the person and try to implement his life into our life. Okay, how many of us are eating like him? How many of us are sleeping like him? How many of us are conducting and speaking to people like him? How many of us are trying to dress like him? How many of us are trying to walk like him? Okay, how to talk like him, how to sit like him? Try to learn these sunnahs, inshallah. Okay, you it's available everywhere, inshallah. So a person's love for the Prophet is only can be judged by looking at the person's lifestyle. Okay, if your lifestyle is according to the lifestyle of the Prophet, then you can say yes, you have true love for him. You can't say, yeah, I love the Prophet, but you don't follow his actions. Yes, you don't know how he eats, you don't know how he slept, you don't know how he used the toilet, you don't know which feet he went to the toilet in with, which foot he left the toilet with. You don't know how he ate, how he picked up his morsel. You don't know how his seating position was when he was eating. Okay, inshallah, towards the end of the course, we're going to be learning about the food of the Prophet, what type of food he would love to eat. Okay, how he would eat, and how he would talk to people, how he would dress, how long his hair was. So he would keep long hair, sometimes to his ears, sometimes to his shoulders, sometimes to his neck area. So we'll learn, inshallah, a lot about his life, his dress code, and everything, inshallah. Before we pack up, inshallah, before we wrap up, there was a question: how do you have a child with anyone else apart from your wife? Now, slavery before it was allowed, but now slavery doesn't exist in Islam. So before, a slave, before you could own someone, so the Prophet was gifted a slave called Maria, who was gifted by a king. A king gave this gift to him, Maria, and a slave is, back in the days before in Islam, before, a slave woman or slave man is fully yours. You can do whatever you want. So you could have obviously intimate relationship with the slave. So he did have a child with her called Ibrahim, who didn't live for a very long time. But now slavery doesn't exist in Islam. Inshallah, we will wrap it up here. Inshallah, does anyone have any questions before we finish? Sorry, I forgot to mention, next week we will have 1 week holiday. So next Friday there won't be no Seerah class, inshallah. We will resume on, I think, is it the 3rd? Let me just check the dates. So next week is the 1st of next Friday is the 1st of January. We won't have no lesson on Friday, 1st of January. Inshallah, we'll resume on the 8th of January. And inshallah, after that, I don't think we will take any more breaks, inshallah. So what you do, brothers, is we've done 6 lessons so far. Have a recap, go over these 6 lessons, and try to act upon what you've learned from here, and try to learn more, inshallah. There's many PDFs, many books available in stores, many YouTube videos available. Try to educate yourself more about this, about our role model, inshallah. We'll leave it till there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.